So here we are, we're going to make this traditional Portuguese sweet bread, also known as massa. So on the stove here I have 3 cups of milk and a half a pound of melted butter. So I put the sticks of butter right in with the milk. And you're going to get that to, it's just boiling, not to a boil, scalding. So as that's getting ready, I'm going to prepare my yeast. So you do a half a cup of warm water and 3 packets of dry yeast, which is 2.5 teaspoons per packet. I buy the yeast in bulk at Costco's. This is Active Dry Yeast, and you just stir that together and set it aside and let that foam up and get ready for the mixture. Now back to the milk a little bit though. After the milk's done, you're going to want to let that cool and get lukewarm to room temperature. So this is the pan that I use. It was passed down from my husband's great-grandmother. And we're going to use this 5 Roses flour, which is a very fine flour. It's excellent. This bag is 5.5 pounds. So we're going to put all of our dry ingredients into this bowl. And that includes the flour, the 4 cups of sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to mix that together well and then form a well in the middle so we can start pouring our wet ingredients in. Now that the well is formed, we're going to go ahead and beat together 15 eggs. And then I put my vanilla, a teaspoon and a half of vanilla, into the eggs and make sure that's incorporated. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that mixture and we're going to pour it right into the well that we formed in the middle of the flour and dry mixture. And then we're going to start just incorporating that a bit to start mixing the mixture. And this definitely is a process, so take your time. This can't be something that you rush through. Now I put this on higher speed, but here what we're doing is we're putting in some of the lukewarm milk and butter mixture a little at a time, and we're mixing it in. You want to get those eggs used to that warm mixture, and then go ahead and put in the yeast mixture. Now we're just going to mix everything up little by little and get that flour and dry mixture all mixed into the mix. Now at some point you take off your jewelry and you just get right in there with your hands. And you've got to knead the dough for about 10 to 15 minutes. And that's just incorporating the flour, turning the bowl, mixing it, and kneading it in. If you take your time and just focus, look at the clock, make sure you hit 10-minute mark or 15-minute mark if that's needed, and just keep mixing this around so it's well incorporated. Now my background is Irish and Italian, so when I met my husband that's Portuguese, everyone raved about the sweet bread and they made it every year. So it took me 2 to 3 years to actually get the recipe right. and be able to master the not master, but get the techniques to a point where I could actually have some good sweetbread at the end. So once that's all well mixed for 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to go ahead and cover this with saran wrap. And I turn the heat up in my house to like 70, 72, and you got to find a warm place for the masa to rise. It takes 6 hours for the first rise. So I found a nice little place here down by my heater. I always put it on a towel so it's warm, and then I cover it. And then, of course, you got to bless the bread or the dough. And 6 hours later, with the active dry yeast, this is how well it bloomed. It doubled. It came all the way to the top. So what you have to do after 6 hours is you got to just punch down the dough, get all the air bubbles out, and then we'll put it back to rise again for another 4 hours. And you can just tell the dough came out really well. It smells great. And this is the second rise here after 4 hours again. So the yeast is doing its job, and it formed a beautiful dough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just, take some of the bubbles out and get it ready to work with. I'm going to grease my pans and get those ready, and then we'll separate the dough and put them inside the pans. Now these round pans are pretty traditional as well. They make a round loaf, and I got these from my husband's great-grandmother, his bisavó, and I actually need to find a Portuguese shop or look online so I can get 2 more. I think I could definitely get 6 loaves out of this recipe. I get 5 good sized ones, and I've got 4 pans, so I end up using a loaf pan, which you'll see at the end. But to keep it traditional, I should have a couple more of these circle pans. So basically what I'm doing here is just separating the dough and sizing it, trying to keep it pretty consistent for each one. Yeah, that one was a little bit too big, so I took a chunk off of it. And then this is my loaf pan that I'm using for the last of the dough. So then once that's all done, you're going to want to put this in a warm place and cover it for about an hour so it can rise up to the top of the pans one last time. And then preheat your oven on 350 and let that bake for about an hour, and you'll have some beautiful masa. I hope you make it and enjoy. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And subscribe and come along for the ride. I'll post some more family favorite recipes on here, and I'll leave the recipe to this in the description box. Leave a comment if you make this and let me know how it turns out. Thank you.